because trying to do something, then especially if you have 2-3 kids and they together asking for your attention, that is when the agitation appears, because attention is not unlimited. Alright, I lost you all for a minute. Just tell me if you're back. Stacy says, I used to think I could multitask, but that was made up. I'm an awful multitasker. Amaya says, must answer yes, can hold so much in awareness at once when try. Okay. Rashmi says, no broadcast, yeah. Ajnani says, one thing at a time. Very good. Amaya says, not trying to be difficult, just really true for me. Musicians also hear so many notes, instruments together. So, like they say, the exception makes the rule. So, we can say that Amaya is the exception in this case, and it is very much, because there is no way of concluding that this is absolutely untrue. So, let's just say that in the general case, attention is limited in this way, and we cannot focus both on an external object completely with full focus and then think a thought at the same time, or pay attention to a thought at the same time. Okay, so we seem to be having technical difficulties, but it's a very interesting conversation. So let's stay with this. It's very interesting to discuss this. So now we have some idea about what attention is, isn't it? This force, which is difficult to describe in words, but which has the ability to narrow the power of perceiving down to particular things which are appearing and seem to carry this input back to us. Lucian says, I am also curious if women are somehow different, but I really don't think so. That's okay, that's okay. Because ultimately, even if multiple things can be gathered in some attention, then also we will get to the difference between attention and belief. But is this attention completely clear now for everyone? Louise, is it seen what we are talking about when we say attention? Okay, Louise is here. She says, Father, it seems impossible with effort for me to even get the attention away from thought. Yes. Okay, that's fine for now. That's fine for now. Amaya says, oh, it's true. The most multi-aware necessities does silence thoughts and consciousness does it all. Okay, Amrita says, the example of how an OS operating system works comes to me. Resources are given to only one application at a time, though it seems like many apps are running at the same time. Not sure anymore if that is correct. Yes, only one CPU cycle can run at a time in every processor, so only that one application for that instant of time is given the space. That's a good example for techies like us at least. Okay, so attention is completely clear now. So if something comes into our attention, does that mean that we have believed something? What is the belief? If something is just given our attention, does that mean that we have believed it? So if this book is coming to my attention, does it mean that there is a belief about it already? Can we look and try? Anything, could be external, internal. Stacy says, okay, D says no, yes. Stacy says no, belief is saying yes to the thought. Yes. So belief only means that there is a separate sort of energy which has the ability to say yes or to say nothing at all or to say no. So when a thought comes that I must buy myself some new clothes, a thought could be I must buy myself some new clothes, and then you can say yes to it, you can say nothing to it, you can just go, or you can say no to it. This much is clear? D says belief seems to be secondary, yes. Ustreamer91 says all coming and going. Okay. Jyoti says if we believe something, can we still be aware that we are aware? If we believe something, yes, I want to buy some new clothes, I believe that, but still I am aware that I am aware. Yes. Is belief same as identification? We'll come to that. We'll just remind me if you don't come to that, we'll come to that. Yubeke says no, belief means giving a meaning to something. Very good, very good. So many of you say yes, clear, very good. Ustreamer42 says the thought itself, is it not personal? Yes. So the thought could be personal, it could be anything at all. Right now we are looking at the attention and the belief to it. The thought is always referring to you as if you are a person. That is true. But till it is believed, it has no potential to cause any damage or any suffering. And so do not be in this misunderstanding that freedom means that thought should stop arising. Thoughts will keep arising. They could be much slower, but they will keep arising. But they will lose all their power. And we are looking at that process of them losing their power. Okay, very clear. Good, good, good. All right. So we've looked at attention and we've looked at belief. Now, if there's anyone who's unclear at this point, please point it out, because now we'll get into what actually happens. Once you've understood these, we can get into what actually happens. So if it's unclear, just point it out, and I don't mind looking at it together again, because this is very useful. And we'll remember to take the question about identification in a while. Belief versus identification. We'll look at that also in a while. Amrita says, Ananta, does it also happen like this? We believe thoughts but don't bother with the content. Hence it has lost its power over us. Hence no suffering. Is that okay or no? So let's look at this statement. You say we believe thoughts but don't bother with the content. You mean with the content of what? With the content of the thought? We cannot believe a thought without bothering with the content of the thought. It is the content which we are believing. So if we say that I must buy some new clothes, it becomes a belief only when we say, we give our agreement to this, we give our concurrence to this, and we believe that this is true. Streamer 42 says, giving attention to a thought, is it not having interest in it? So we'll look at exactly this now. So if it's clear what the difference between attention and belief is, let's look at this now. So to not give belief to something is to say that I have no interest in it. To not give belief to something is to say that I have no interest in it, in the neutral state. So this thought came that I must buy some new clothes. There was no interest in it, not even interest enough to have an aversion towards it. So notice that I'm saying neutrality. I'm not saying yes or no, because either yes or no would mean that you're interested in the content of the thought. But to just let it come and let it go is neutrality. Because if we say yes, then it is a desire, and if we say no, it becomes an aversion. So this is the difference between a desire and an aversion. Yes. So if there is, when we say there is no interest, means that there is no desire to give any belief to any thought that is arising. Then what happens? So the same thought can keep coming back. And initially I don't say withdraw your attention from it, because attention can play this monkey game. Attention can play the monkey game. So I say don't think of a pink elephant. Immediately your attention is going to an image of a pink elephant. And the more you try to stop and say no, 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 no pink elephant, the more the pink elephant stays. So attention can play this monkey game, but belief is easier to handle. You can say no, I am not a pink elephant. And no matter how many times the thought might come that you are a pink elephant, you will not believe it. But if I say don't give attention to the visual of a pink elephant, then attention seems to go there. Except for maybe very experienced yogis and meditators, this is how it will happen. But what happens is, as we keep withdrawing our belief from it, and we stay in the state of neutrality, then you will find that automatically attention also doesn't go to it. It's like if you have the same visitor over and over, initially you might be a little hospitable to them, but if he keeps coming back every 10 minutes, then you will just start ignoring him. If you go into a wildlife sanctuary and suppose there are many tigers there. So when you see the first tiger, you'll have a lot of belief that you wanted to see this tiger, and your attention will go strongly to it. But as you keep withdrawing your belief from it, then as you've seen too many of these tigers, your attention will also stop going to them. You'll probably start thinking about lunch. So this much is clear now, that attention seems to be a bit of the monkey mind and belief seems to be easier to manage. To withdraw our belief from something seems like an easier step than to pull our attention away from something. And also it must be seen now that without our attention, there is no possibility of believing anything about it anyway. If it doesn't come into our attention, if the thought is not in our attention, there is no concept of a belief in that thought anyway. So attention must come first and belief must come second. Okay. So in just this much understanding, to say that I will not give my belief to any thought is freedom from suffering itself. Just in this much is the freedom from suffering. So Ustreamer 42 says, attention, is it not a form of interest? Yes. So that's what we said, that because so much belief has gone into the concept that I need something, or I need this, or I need that, there's so much belief around something that when that something arises, then that interest in the form of our belief system then perpetuates our being with that. So if there's no belief around it, then it will be allowed to just come and go. But if there's a belief structure around something, it means that something still has value or meaning for me, then that is what we mean by interest, and then our attention sticks. But when we withdraw our belief from it, then we will find that attention will not stick. So interest is another way of saying that there is a belief that there is something in this for me, there is a meaning in this for me, or there is a value in this for me, and in that there is a birth of a me, birth of an individual me, which is not the true me. This is clear? Excellent question. So interest is another form of saying that I believe that there is some meaning or value for me, but that's a belief. Therefore, I will not say that attention is a form of interest. I will say that attention goes more strongly when there is a feeling of value or interest to me, or attention stays more strongly when this feeling of value or interest is there. But this feeling of value or interest is based on beliefs. So Amaya says, yes, when attention doesn't want to let go, withdraw belief takes its power away, yes, and opens awareness, can see, yes. Jyoti says, Muji once said something like, we don't buy or purchase thoughts. He says that we should not buy or purchase thoughts. They will audition for our attention, but we don't buy them. Stacy says, just want to confirm something. At some point, I heard that functional thinking is okay, and the mind grabbed a hold of this, and I attach belief to to-dos obsessively at times. Something still sticking to being the doer of the to-dos, yes. That's why I very rarely say this. That's why I say initially it is okay to say that I am not going to believe any thought at all and let life unfold exactly the way it has to. Like my master says, the mind is not your friend, Not yet. And don't believe your mind's testimony for when it is your friend or not. Let your master tell you. So what you have to do is let go of all thoughts and all fear about how life will unfold. Let go of all thoughts, and let all actions unfold through the body as they are naturally happening in a neutral state. Don't have any desire or aversion. I am not saying that you just sit on the bed. No, that is the typical reaction that will come. So I'm saying just be completely neutral and let life unfold as it is without your giving any belief to any thought. And if the mind is saying that this is not possible, then you experiment with it and you tell me after experimenting that I tried this for a day, but it is not possible. Yes, Ustreamer 142 says, in having thought, is it not already some unconscious belief? You can say that it comes from a subconscious place or the karmic kosha or the kosha of our karmas. All these things can be said. But ultimately the truth is that we are not the creators of our thoughts. We as individuals are not the creators of anything at all. But specifically for this discussion, we can say of our thoughts. So just out of the blue, some thoughts will come. A thought could come that I want to go to London for my next vacation. Before this thought appeared for the first time, there was no belief around it. And now when this came, we said yes, then it becomes a desire. We said no, I don't want to go, it becomes an aversion. And neutrality means this thought is allowed to come and go. You want to look at another example? So suppose you looked at, so we had an example earlier about buying new clothes. So you looked at something in the shop window. There was no belief around this new shirt in the shop window. But when we saw it, then a thought came that I must have it, or I never want to wear something like this. Both have the potential to create a desire or an aversion. But if it is just allowed to come and allowed to go, then there is no belief around it. Claire says, I throw all habits to believe things into the fire of satsang. Very good. It's clear. SK77 says, how to make decisions. I am struggling to make decision between two jobs. How to follow the heart. Yes. You as an individual cannot decide anything anyway. Life is already deciding for you. Don't try to decide. Just drop all decision making and life will unfold exactly the way it is meant to. What you might experience in this is a fear about what is going to happen, and that takes some trust. So trust in Guru, trust in God, that life will unfold exactly the way it is meant to, not in the way that your mind wants it to. But the decision of a non-entity, which means the decision of the person who does not exist anyway, is not relevant to how your life is going to flow. It is only the illusory way of keeping the false identity alive. This choice making and decision making is just that. But if this becomes too difficult to understand, then what I can say simply is what Bhagwan said. Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi said that if you believe in choice, then the only choice you must have is to let go of your thoughts. That is the only choice you must make. And ultimately you will see that even this happening was all grace. There was no individual entity here to do even this. Ustreamer 380 says, Master, what about I thought? If there is no belief or attention, is that freedom? What about I thought? If we give no belief or attention to this I thought, yes, then that is freedom. Because at the root of all suffering is this misidentification with the individual person. All thoughts are referring to you as a person. No thought is saying that as awareness can you do this. All problems are just thoughts about a person. All suffering is thoughts about a person. So if the root itself is gone, which is that this personal belief or personal identity is gone, then that is freedom. Because when thoughts will come and speak, they are speaking to someone that is not there at all. You know that that is not there. Therefore, no belief can go to them. Louis says, Anantajit, attention seems to be doing its own thing. Not believing is definitely easier, as the attention is hard to focus on something particular. Exactly what I've been saying, that attention has a bit of this monkey tendency and it will want to do the opposite of what we want it to do. If you want to control it, it will jump around more. But belief seems more manageable. Therefore, it is just enough to say that I will not believe the content of my thoughts. It is enough. Then the rest will take care of itself. Ustreamer 142 says, who is the I that does not believe in the thoughts? Very good. So, we see that in pure seeing itself, in this only pure seeing, then there is not even these powers of attention and belief. It is after the birth of the being, or can be said concurrently actually with the birth of the being, when consciousness gives birth, then these powers of attention and belief are given birth as well, concurrently. Therefore, we can say that consciousness itself is giving attention or is giving belief. It is consciousness itself. Amrita laughing. Rashmi says, it is possible. It is possible. Okay, I've forgotten what the question was. Probably was it a while ago. Stacy says, thank you, Father, for the guidance. Okay, I will experiment with this. Very good. Let all things unfold on their own. Very good. Lucian says, I expose that there is still belief that I am responsible for my brother and mother's suffering. With my brother, it seems I tried too hard, and with my mother there is blame. I am a burden to her, because for quite a while I don't make any money. I lay this at your feet, thank you. This is very powerful. This is very powerful, because not only are you not denying it, that this exists here, that this comes up and has some meaning and value and belief has been given to it. You're not denying it, you're willing to shine your light on this. and second, you're willing to expose it in satsang. This is very powerful. And with this shining of your light and with this exposing it in the fire of satsang, this will not last. It might come at you strongly. The mind might play this trump card strongly. But if you keep this stance of just witnessing it and exposing it every time it is coming up, then it cannot last. It's very good. Okay, Jyoti has an interesting one. She says, is it possible to believe something that is in my attention? If I don't believe, I believe it. Is it possible to believe something that is in my attention? If I don't believe, I believe it. You'll have to take an example. Let's take an example so that it's clearer. Okay, you have an example. She says, like if someone else says, I am believing something, but I feel I can see clearly and I am not believing. So there was a concept that you know that you are not believing. But somebody else can see that you are believing it. No. It is our own testimony from our heart, not our mind's testimony. There is something here, neutral space here, from which all this can be seen. It will be completely clear to you what you are believing or not. And the wonderful thing about life is that all our beliefs will get exposed. All our beliefs will get exposed in the form of the suffering that they bring. And that is why I say suffering is pure grace. Because when suffering comes, it unfolds, it unravels what is the belief system of some concepts that we are still holding on to. So when suffering comes, don't say suffering should not come. You only say what is it that is still being held on to, what identity is still being held on to, so that this suffering is here. Okay, very good. So this reminds me we have to look at belief and identity. That's the difference. So the identity is nothing but a set of beliefs. The identity is a set of beliefs. That I am honest, I am good, I am Indian, I am a man. All of this becomes my identity. And the more we nourish these beliefs, the stronger that portion of the identity becomes. So if somebody has really nourished this fact that they are so honest, and somebody comes and says you are a liar, then that causes the most suffering. Amaya says, surrendering those ideas about multitasking, the only way to hear all the notes, etc., is to not hold a thought. And even lots at once is one response per moment. Thank you, see what you were saying now. It's very good, very good. And Amaya says, and how it is consciousness doing it with no need for thoughts about it. Very good. Ustreamer 142 says, I expose that I am attracted to be clever and argue in spiritual matters and feel proud. I put it at your feet. This is very, very good. This is very, very good. Because the spiritual ego can be the most difficult to expose. Therefore, there must be something which is felt in the heart, which allows you to say this very powerful statement. It is very beautiful. Very nice. Jyoti says, thank you. I see this, but I don't want to be confused at all, so hear it from your mouth is good. Yes, that's good. Amaya says, I'm so grateful. It doesn't matter about concepts anymore. Thanks to you. 3, 2, 1, drop it. Very good. Atma says, thank you, Father. All is so simple. I love simple things. Same here, same here. This is all so simple and clear actually. You streamer 891 says, as you say, suffering is pure grace. Beautiful satsang. Thank you, my dear. Jyoti says, and also to believe something at all, I must first believe in a separate individual. Is that right? Separate even, yes. Yes. Because what happens is a thought can only refer to you as an individual. Even if it is saying the most powerful thing, like we spoke about spiritual ego earlier, it is still saying that as a person you have understood something. It is still saying that as a person you are spiritually evolved. It's still saying that as a person you have understood much more than anyone else. So a thought does not refer to you as a being, and it does not definitely refer to you as awareness itself, because awareness it cannot fathom at all. Therefore, if we are believing a thought, we are first believing the person idea. Very good. Amaya says, thank you, surrender everything. Very good, very good. Claire says, I expose all undercurrents of neediness. Very good. Ustreamer 142 says, thank you for your love and patience with this imagined person. Very well. SK77 says, thank you for the clarity. Very welcome. Very good. Louise says, Anantaji, there seems to be a lot of suffering around. Not wanting. Around not wanting. Not even sure what it is in specific, but just not wanting feelings or having to do something. Just not wanting feelings or having to do something. Yes. It seems foggy about the core of this belief. Not wanting, but just not wanting feelings or having to do something. Yes, it's a sort of a resistance, isn't it? But the harder we resist life, the stronger it seems to come at us. And when we say, I'm completely open, bring it on, then you will find that you are the untouched one. No matter what the content of the experience is, no matter what the content of thought is, you are completely untouched and unruffled by it. But the minute we start building defenses, then we start feeling that we are being attacked. It's very good. Ustreamer 380 says, thank you, Master. Surrender all to you. Thank you so much. B says, thank you, Master, at your feet. Love you too. Very good. Meera says, ever grateful to you, Father, at your feet, beloved Master. Love you so much. I love you too, my child. Very good. Jyoti says, thank you so much. So grateful for your love and support. Ushima891 says, at your feet, effortless joy and compassion. Love you too. Does this mean that our 1 hour is over? Yes. Very good. SK77 says, what does following the heart mean? Stay silent or follow intuition? It's a very good question. So, initially what you have to do is just let go of all your thoughts and let life unfold for itself. Let life unfold on its own. It is going to unfold anyway. Because personal volition, personal choice, personal decision making were all concepts and ideas in the first place. Then you might find one day that there is a deeper qualitative voice that speaks. But when it speaks, it is accompanied by the presence of love and peace and joy. It is not accompanied by needing something, wanting to achieve something. You will sense many beings say that this is the voice of the heart. But don't confuse it with the physical heart, although it might be seeming to come from a deeper place. The mind can be a trickster and can try to convince us that this voice, it can try to play the part, play the role of the guru and the role of intuition. But once you are stabilized, you completely let go of the thought, you will find that a deeper voice speaks, which has no need. It is accompanied by love and peace and joy. This is not the same voice as the voice of the mind. Ultimately, of course, it's all the same thing. It is consciousness itself. But this voice, you can listen to them. In fact, this is the voice that speaks through satsang. It is this same voice which is using this mouth to speak. So have no expectation around any of what is said, because it can unfold in different ways. Some beings might hear it as a voice, for some it might come as a visual, for some it is just pure silence itself. So you will know qualitatively. Qualitatively, this voice will have a different sense of presence about it. That is intuition. But remember that ultimately, to you as awareness itself, it does not matter. Even this can be said does not matter. Once you have recognized that I am this pure seeing itself, then it does not matter whether even this pure voice is guiding this life or not. Because you as awareness are completely untouched by the content of this life. This life is nothing but a blink of an eyelid for you. You are the timeless one. So don't look for intuition, don't chase intuition. When you have let go of your personal mind, then intuition will arise on its own. So follow the heart for now only means let go of your thoughts and let life unfold on its own. Okay, thank you all so very much for joining us in Satsang today. Muji Ji ki Jai. Thank you, thank you, thank you.